Welcome everyone to my review of IDW Sonic issue 36, and the final part of Evan Stanley's first story arc, Chao Races and Badnik Bases. Things have gone in an interesting direction last issue. Before I recap, spoilers from this point forward, and I would say Omega levels, but at this point, the Bad Guys miniseries, set before this story arc, has just finished. So, screw it. Spoilers at Omega levels. Better safe than sorry. Sonic, Tails, and their new companion Belle escaped the badnik-infested Eggman base. Afterwards, they received a call from Rouge telling them to rendezvous at White Park. Sonic and Belle went with Amy to help free the imprisoned Chao, courtesy of Clutch, which Belle is happy to assist. Sonic then went on to check on Tails and Rouge after Amy suspects something's up with the latter. Once Sonic left, Clutch revealed he's been acting like his species and activated a bunch of badniks to kill his uninvited guests before leaving. Meanwhile, Tails and Rouge are prisoners of the hooded figure, who revealed himself to be Dr. Starline. He kidnapped and hypnotized Rouge to get information and to plant some subliminal commands, like bring Sonic and Tails here and subdue the two-tailed fox for his purposes. Sonic, and later Shadow, gave chase, but Starline added a new danger to the situation. Cause a massive avalanche that's rapidly approaching the White Park Chateau and all the people inside. Sonic and Shadow are the only ones fast enough to possibly stop the avalanche, but Shadow's not interested. I take back every good thing I've said about Shadow in this arc. Rather than go with Sonic to save the innocents, at Tails' insistence if you're wondering, he goes after Starline because his pride was wounded earlier. Even then, it wasn't necessary as Starline made a critical mistake. He put Omega's head right next to him. Oh yeah, Omega's head's here too! Rouge invokes the code word meant for Clutch, and Omega knocks Starline off the roller coaster. Rouge untying herself didn't come out of nowhere. It was hinted at last issue. This kind of skill comes in handy in her line of work. Shadow wants to go after Starline, but first Rouge gives him a stern talking to, which amounts to, sure, go after Starline to satisfy your bruised ego, or you could help us with the chateau situation. Back in Clutch's penthouse, Amy hasn't made progress with the Berry Badnik, and General's receiving more damage protecting Cream and Belle. Maybe that's why he wasn't fixed prior to this arc. Then again, and it's debatable, with the amount of badniks present, I don't know if he'd fare better at 100%. It is a numbers game after all. Just as Belle is working on the final lock, Cream pleads with the caged Chao to help them with the badniks. And they agree, symbolized by the Shadow Chao clasping hands with cheese. It's sad when a Chao that resembles Shadow is more cooperative than the genuine article. Belle removes the final lock, allowing the freed Chao to swarm the badniks. They, along with General, hold the Berry Badnik long enough for Amy to smash its head in. Guys, there's no time to celebrate as Rouge and Tails break in from the ceiling to inform them of the avalanche. Which brings us back to Sonic. Shadow arrives to help, calling it a debt that needs to be repaid for what happened in Sunset City. You know, this. Sonic and Shadow cut a bunch of trees hoping to dam the avalanche. It works for a few seconds. A for effort, guys? Amy's group, who gathered all the necessary parts, runs down the stairs to alert Omochao of the avalanche and to get the guests to safety. Omochao cooperates, after Amy threatens to use it as target practice. During the evacuation, Starline reappears. He really wants Tails. Amy and Rouge attack, but Starline holds his own thanks to the Tricore. For the moment. He speeds over to Tails and is about to escape with him, until Tails pulls a Belle's tail. Back in the Badnik base when Sonic briefly attacked Belle, pulling Belle's tail caused her to kick him in the face. Tails does it here, and Starline receives the face kick. It allows everyone enough time to escape the avalanche. Almost everyone. The guests are safe at the upper levels of the chateau, Sonic and Shadow meet up with the others, and Belle's going to be sticking with them. In fact, at Tails' workshop, she helps Tails reassemble Omega by reading the coded plans. Vanilla stops by to pick up Cream, and Cream rapidly starts recapping everything that's happened. Rouge quickly bails, leaving Amy to take the possible blame. Sonic and Shadow thank each other, in their own way. Shadow even gives the Shadow Chao an apple. I'd figure these two would meet. During the lab cleanup, Tails wonders how Belle could read the plans without the cipher. Only Eggman, or a creation of his like Orbot, could do it. Belle states again she wasn't built by Eggman, but doesn't reveal her actual creator. Okay. The issue, and the arc, ends with Starline back at his lair. While he failed to capture Tails, he did get some of his fur, which is good enough for his plans. Here's some behind the scenes information about this arc. If you've seen my Bad Guys issue 4 review, some of it will be a repeat from there. I figured I'd expand on it here since this is Evan's arc, and it's straight from her Tumblr page. Starline's hypnotizing feature on his glove was created by Evan. She said it was a callback to the machine he used on Mr. Tinker in issue 11. To illustrate how much better the communication is between the writers compared to, say, the Archie comics, Ian Flynn utilized this feature in the first issue of the Bad Guys miniseries. The communication isn't perfect since Evan mentions in the same Tumblr post, earlier drafts of this arc were written under the assumption that Starline would still have the Warp Topaz, and not the Tricore introduced in Bad Guys. Knowing this, I wonder if those panels of the cart randomly appearing towards Sonic was reminiscent of an earlier draft, that Starline teleported it in rather than tossing it at him. Speaking of Starline, he's still biting off more than he can chew. It's hard to break habits if his new goal is to be better than Eggman at world domination. Maybe he can learn something from being kicked in the face and getting buried in snow. We may never know why he came to White Park originally, but it seems his end goal in the finale was to nab Tails for some purpose. He doesn't get him, of course, so he'll have to settle for some of his fur. I have a feeling it's related to whatever's in those green tubes he keeps at his base. There better be payoff down the line. This brings us to Belle. They're dragging out her mysterious origins, aren't they? Don't get me wrong, I actually like this character, and what she can bring to the series. The issue is, we the audience know who built her based on obvious clues spread throughout the arc, so it'll diminish the impact when the other characters eventually figure it out. That said, when she was built, still eludes us. She had to have been made sometime after Sonic and the Chaotix met Mr. Tinker. Otherwise, she would have accompanied her father throughout Windmill Village during issues 5 and 6. I was disappointed that things didn't play out the way I thought. What I hoped would happen is, when Belle and Starline encounter each other, they would know who the other is, and it would reveal to the characters who created Belle. Things were lining up in that direction. Belle was found in a place similar to Final Egg that's near Windmill Village. I believe it was the same place Rough and Tumble brought Mr. Tinker on Starline's behalf, because it too resembled Final Egg. Even after getting mind screwed, Mr. Tinker was still kindly building things until Metal Sonic arrived to hearken Eggman's full return. I was thinking it was during this window Tinker could have built Belle. What we actually got is Belle and Starline being unaware of each other's identities, and her kicking him in the face. Now the next story arc, also written by Evan, will feature Belle trying to help the heroes when they are trapped in an Eggman experiment. So there's another chance to learn more of her backstory later on. The ending of this arc is alright. The heroes might have failed to stop the avalanche, but they did make sure the occupants were safe. And they did succeed in their primary goal, fully repair Omega, thus closing the door on the only remaining plot thread from the Metal Virus saga. I didn't realize Starline had his head with him in the roller coaster. If you look at the art from the last issue, there was no sign of Omega. Evan clearly meant for the head to be there, as she not only wrote the story, she's back on penciling duties here. Though it would be nice if Adam Bryce Thomas put the head there last time. Otherwise, Omega's appearance came out of nowhere. I mean, it would make sense. Rouge has been carrying the head throughout the arc. I'm mixed about the story's overall presentation. Some plot threads either shift gears or come to a grinding halt. I'm a little more forgiving of the Badnik basis portion since it introduces Belle, and she's proved useful again and again and again. The Chao races portion I'm a little iffy on. It's all but forgotten at the halfway point in favor of the Starline plot. You'd think Clutch would be the main threat of this arc, but all he does is sick badniks on Amy and company. Well, not all villains can be upper tier level, and I do like the idea of having shady underworld individuals. You could argue Clutch crossed the line with the caged Chao. The Chao races themselves, there's no resolution to them. unless you count an avalanche canceling all remaining events. I'm kind of okay with it myself since time was needed to get Omega back to 100% at the end. But I can imagine some Chao fans are disappointed that there are no more Chao races. Maybe a way to fix this is, instead of Cheese competing for the semifinals, the race between Cheese and the Shadow Chao is the finals after being the winners in their respective brackets. It wouldn't change a thing in the long run since Clutch wants to meet with them after Cheese won, and he wants the best Chao. At least the Chao got their moment to shine at the end against the badniks. Here's another behind the scenes nugget. Artist Natalie F., who worked on IDW Sonic, made Sonic Chao for fun, and Evan adopted them to be Clutch's Chao posse. Neat. Hold on, and this just came to me. If we can recontextualize the arc's title, Chao races could also apply to Chao as a race, since they are a prominent feature. And badnik bases could apply not only to the abandoned Eggman facility, but Clutch's penthouse, which serves as a base for his shady operations, and it's full of badniks. A major positive of the arc is the character dynamics and interactions. One standout example is Sonic. I didn't emphasize this in the earlier issues, but he kind of goes through a mini arc in which he went from distrusting Belle to apologizing and happily accepting her. While he acts like a jerk towards her, look at it from his point of view. He encounters a strange wooden robot in an Eggman facility. Despite being an innocent robot not built by Eggman, Sonic's still rude to her. I think he doesn't want a repeat of the Metal Sonic incident. It's only after learning she helped the Chao and Tails that he's more open to her. One character I do want to address is Shadow. When you get right down to it, his presence wasn't really necessary to the story. Seriously, some minor tweaking, and things more or less would play out the same. For instance, Clutch's face could have been on the receiving end of Amy's hammer instead of Shadow's roundhouse kick. This is a rumor, I repeat, a rumor I've heard, but apparently this arc was originally a Team Dark venture that had to be changed throughout development, and Shadow's presence was a leftover. Evan made use of his appearances in limited ways, like him helping Sonic as a way of saying sorry about that incident at Sunset City, even though Rouge guilt-tripped him to help, and him having a soft spot for Chao, best exemplified by feeding the one that resembles him. Still, I wish Sega would have eased up a little with regards to Shadow's characterization. Evan Stanley's first story as main writer serves as a good jumping on point for those getting into the series for the first time. While the goal was to conclude the last plot thread from the Metal Virus saga, you really don't need to know too much about it to enjoy the story on its own merits. It's indicative of the comic's new direction for the time being. Smaller stakes stories focusing on world building. Well, that's it for the third year of IDW Sonic. Coming soon will be my look back at year 3 as a whole. Hopefully I will have it ready near the end of the month. There's a lot of stuff to reread and take notes on. And next time we'll start year 4 proper when I review issue 37, in which Sonic, Tails, and Amy become Eggman's newest test subjects. See ya then. Wait, does Cream adopt all of Clutch's former Chao? If so, she could raise an army of attack Chao with Cheese as the leader.